Hi, Daryl. Hi, Tim.
Hey, Carly, how are you?
Not too bad. You?
Doing
Howdy.
awesome.
Tim, are you on Discord?
Yeah, I am. Tough to keep
Okay.
up on all the stuff though.
Yes, that's true.
I have a service I use that lets me know about key things. I call it, it's my daemon I run. It's called Drummond. Drummond hits me in Signal because it's, hey, I look at the Trust Registry Task Force channel. That's it. That's all I can do.
Yeah, yeah,
So, so it's an all Canadian all the time channel right now.
yeah, yeah. Good times.
Yeah.
How much snow is it where you people are?
You guys were down to minus 30. We were at 14 degrees. So,
I
yeah.
saw pictures of Vancouver with daffodil. I'm pissed off.
Yeah. It was. We had one of our friends was in Ottawa. It was minus 30. The wife was complaining, and my wife is sending pictures of crocus or croci, I guess.
Yeah, crocodile.
Yeah. So
Carly, you're in Guelph, are you?
hmm
Okay. Yeah, it got pretty it's t-shirt weather now. It's -7.
Yeah,
yeah,
it has warmed up significantly. That's true. And
yeah. I
however,
gotta
the
say, I don't miss
snowbanks,
it. I don't miss
the
it.
snowbanks are so.
Oh, yeah, I have to get on top of it and shovel it down so I can throw more snow on top. I
I
think
was in
this
New York 2 weeks ago when they got the big storm,
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
and if you know New York, at nighttime they put the garbage bags out, so they had huge snowbanks, and on top of the snowbanks, I'm like walking, going, "Yeah, I should wear a helmet." So
Most of the trash is gone,
yeah.
Most of the
but
trash is gone.
but there's still a lot of trash out there on the snow.
I was
I just,
surprised, like I was amazed, Will, at how well it was. It was piled up at night, but in the morning, gone. It was well done. It's just
yeah.
like, yeah, that's 14 feet tall. So,
I
um,
I don't miss any of that.
no, nor do I. I was just saying, Scott, that like when everyone was complaining, it was like 14 Celsius here one on the weekend. It was like, yeah,
Amazing.
yeah,
79 here in Glendale, Arizona.
yeah,
Now we're finally committed to going winter camping this weekend. Got the
good.
hot tent and the wood stove and the ski gear and stuff. Yep.
That sounds fun. I don't have an agenda today, folks. Just quick update of what's going on with the spec. So the steering committee, Scott, Carly, thank you, put together a checklist and a process to go through. I'm probably 80, I'm hoping, or more, closer to 100% done on that. I need to get a PR in and get some people to be reviewing. I just have not had time to do that, and I won't have time to do that today. Um, that checklist has created some new work in the spec, new content, but it's all derivative, meaning there's a one of the things is conformance criteria. So it created conformance criteria all driven by the earlier part of the spec and stuff. So it's not new. I would say it looks substantive, but it's a very, very helpful process. So thank you folks for doing that. And I will have that in before the end of the weekend. That's my big update. That, and we
Daryl,
need we need chairs. We need chairs of this task force. I am the only surviving chair.
I can't. I can't.
Yeah.
Daryl,
I'm trying to hit up Sankershan or Tim.
yeah. Daryl, quick
Yeah.
thing, and that is, can you connect with Drummond? Because so we're in the midst of making a spec up T template for trust over IP specifications. So it would be taking what you've got and then filling it into the sections, and it's being authored right now, so you can totally have an influence on what you think the content should be. And one of the advantages of doing that is then what we're doing with the carry specs and what I suggest that we do then with your spec as well. We can give everything a permanent identifier, a
Good.
DOI.
Yep. A deal. Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I have
Yep.
created a trust over IP on Zenodo, so then we can connect it with GitHub and move our stuff, copy our stuff over, so it's backed
Cool.
up in a repository, and then
I
give
know
everything.
Will knows what you just said. I know roughly what a DOI is, and that you put it on the awesome. Awesome.
Okay, so what we need is a bite-sized trust video on DOIs.
Cool. Cool.
Well,
Yeah,
you know,
I'll
and
I'll
it's
touch base with him.
So
Um,
I had mentioned this to Carly. So Will is,
yeah,
driving some activity. So Will would be the expert Carly on
he's a
Right?
DOI
DOIs.
wizard.
He's driving a DOI.
They
That's
call him
right.
Doy. They
It's an
call him
ag-
Doy.
registration
So
agency. There are 12 in
Okay.
the world. We are one of 12 DOI registration agencies in the
Yes,
world.
that's
Hey,
right.
But we're not in the scientific and scholarly research world. That's like Crossref and DataCite
Yeah.
and the
but where do you think, Will? Where do you think that the trust RAP spec should live? It doesn't sound academic scientific to me.
No, it could totally have a Crossref is often where we send people for like getting a DOI for a
Mm.
scholarly paper or and the persistence is key, right? So that sense of like it's always going to be around, which is the blood oath of the DOI Foundation.
The
Yeah.
the uh, the specifications fit really nice into DOI.
Yep.
Uh, and we can do it through Zenodo, which is run. So Zenodo is a
Yeah.
repository run by CERN. CERN.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, CERN is cool as hell. That's good enough for me.
Yeah,
Okay.
that
Done.
you're golden. You're golden.
Yeah.
And they
Great
will pay
big
for our
donut.
DOI,
Yeah.
our DOI registry. In
You
academia, we
you.
call it DOI, but then I know there are other groups that call it DOE. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not my. I don't touch those people.
well,
It's always
so if you
DOI.
don't, if there's an agenda item I can bring up, I'd
Yeah.
Go
like to.
for it.
Well, let me just close off on mine. So on Carly's comment. I'm happy to visit with Drummond on that. I am not going to have time to convert it from spec up to spec up T. That is a hell of a lift, and I do not have the bandwidth for that at all.
Okay. Talk with Drummond because this is our chance to
Yeah.
steer
Cool.
things.
Cool. I'll do that. Sorry, Scott. I'm done for the
So,
day.
yeah, well, you're not because I'm going to push you back into it. So on Monday, I hope you are attending to, our COG meeting. So Daryl had the chance 2 weeks ago to talk about mostly about IRA, but we didn't get to the Trust Registry Query Protocol in our discussion. So we only got a certain amount. So I do hope that you'll come on Monday and we'll continue to advance on the agenda to kind of introduce what's out in the marketplace to the Creator Assertions Working Group, which is a joint venture with DIF. And I do believe that we have the makings of a use case. We have a number of ecosystems that want to, including Will, want to apply their own governance and ecosystem to affixing their metadata, such as a hand ID, into a COG assertion around a digital object. And I mean, there's a lot of movement happening, and we're trying to come up with specs that the Creator Assertions Working Group can do, but we also want to delineate what the ecosystem
Yep.
needs to do
Yep.
in order to manage all of that. And I think we're getting closer. I mean, we have Will on the call here today. Will has expressed interest around that. I've been working with him on that. There are others,
Yep.
especially in the music and entertainment business, that want to get affiliation about that. So
Yep.
I hope and want your commitment to continue
Well, I'll
to
be
do
there.
that.
I'll be
I'm
there
giving you a
occasionally. I
use
don't.
case here that
Yep.
you'll have thousands of musicians
Yep.
and actors that can
I'm,
tout that this is something that we need to have.
Yep.
So
I'm so sorry. There's thousands of musicians you have to deal with. I'm joking. I'm joking. It's the music industry is a you have to be very cautious with engaging with them. But our friends at ITER, Entertainment ID Registry, Richard Crone, they're siblings to us as a DOI registration agency, and Scott, I sent Richard a note that he should probably get a PIN number because they don't
yeah,
have one. Yeah.
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 I'll be there. I'll be there at it's 8 a.m. Pacific, right?
It
I
is
said I
8
pinged you
a.m.
in
Pacific
Signal. I
time
just
on
don't know
Monday.
where to
Yeah,
find the
same.
registration link
Yeah,
on diff.
it's the same one.
Cool. Cool.
I think what I'm trying to do and what that group is trying to do now, at least Eric is pushing it, is we are moving to making that more of a conformance task force. We don't really have a conformance program yet. There are
Yep.
some things that are looking to that, but I think I'm going to pull it that way because I knew exactly how to do it since I just did that with the
Yeah.
C2PA and now we're taking
Mhm.
off. So
And people want it. It's the
Yeah.
right move. Yeah.
yeah, and so we want what I wasn't able to do at the C2PA is I wasn't able to affect the trust registry. Now, I can tell you that standards for the registry has come up at C2PA. And what they are moving to, because they have an issue with meeting the spec, the trust registry has to have certain things regarding, um, where CAs actually, what's the validity period of these, of these CA certificates on the trust
Yeah.
registry.
Yeah.
And we don't have that. So they're looking at the Etsy model, which is convoluted and trying to pick what they need to do. But that's another agenda item. I don't have, since we do not have recommendations of how a trust registry needs to be formed. And Daryl, the first thing that he says when he talks about it is, you know what, we're going to let everybody do what they do. I need to get more specifications,
Yeah.
actually. So I'm
Yeah.
going to push you. We do need to have conformity and consistency. Maybe not a spec, but we need to
Yep.
identify what are the key fields that we need to have on
Yep.
trust registries and how does it operate within the
Yep.
query protocol, or it's not going to happen. As opposed to just staying back and letting people to do, you know what, they're not
Yep.
going to do it. You
Well,
gotta
but
you gotta pull them
yes,
along.
agreed. Now let's also something to consider. Carly, I saw your hand up. I'm sorry. You're on mute.
Sorry,
Put a message in the chat.
Scott. So Scott was just saying, Scott was commenting. Then I was like, oh, that does connect to. Remember, we were talking about. I'm sorry, it's formatted poorly because I'm copying it from Discord. If you want to see it in its glory, there. The idea was that we could write out documentation of best practices for if you want to set up a trust registry. It's
Yeah.
not a specification, but
Yeah.
you should consider these things, and these other things will address what
Yep.
are pitfalls that face people.
Yeah.
So I put it down as an educational resource, but it's not it's more of an instructional how-to
Yeah.
Right.
with
And the
And
one key factor also needs to be considered and maybe even brought into this meeting is they have one representative trust registry that since we had one, I figured we would start coming up with a standard. And that's with the press industry. The IPTC has created their own trust registry that they are using for COG validation
Yeah.
of members that have the ability to affix press organizations to digital media. So
Credentials.
they
Yeah.
have their own validation. They're
Yeah.
checking, are you Willcref Press Corporation? Up, sorry, you're not part of the organization, and we're going to reject it. Are you part of it? So they are
It'd be,
using that trust registry. Will?
the Charlie Halford from the BBC has been one of the most instrumental people at
yeah.
IPTC to push for this because they don't have years to get this done.
Yeah. So,
Right.
so
Like,
here, yeah, Will, you and I talked a few weeks back, maybe it was a month or so. Um, Scott, I'm happy to do that. Here's what I would throw out though is the Trust Registry Task Force is not the place to build that guidance. It needs to be built in a community that actually has a business problem, which your community in COG does
Right.
have the
COG will
business
do it.
problem.
I don't have a
Yep.
problem with that. We'll do
Yep.
that. If you want to say that,
Yep.
let's do it.
Yep.
I'm not saying that we need to.
Yep. What I may look at doing, and you and I can strategize on this, is because the effort is non-trivial. It's not on my oh my God, but it's non-trivial. I'd be happy to partner IRA and COG to do that work because it helps everybody. We're already doing similar with members in IRA that say, hey, listen, You already can answer the question, is Tim authorized to do the thing? You already have processes that are in place. You don't have them in digital. You have a system of record that you're consulting. How would I expose that? What does it mean? What do I need to do to meet the requirements of the Trust Registry Query Protocol? To meet the requirements of, and Sankarshan put a really good issue into GitHub on that relates to many topics. Things like, what does the metadata look like? Great. COG can start that process, right? Start it and say,
Yes.
that's good enough. We're not going to standardize it. Perfect. That's great. We're going to turn it into another spec. Great. Do that at Trust Registry Task Force.
Well,
But
that's
happy to have
exactly,
that conversation.
we have a metadata specification, and we
Beautiful.
need to see, do we need to make modifications to the
Right.
metadata specification to
Yeah, what's
allow for
missing?
it to
Yep.
flow into a trust
Perfect.
register?
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, so that's, advancing the discussion is where, and I don't care to do it. I don't mind doing a slow walk because we have new people, they're trying to figure it out. I want to let people know that we don't have to invent everything. So that's why it's important that you, Daryl, and other people that
Yep.
are, in this particular group can lend itself, because I believe this could be, the model that at least a representative and very visible set
Yep.
of ecosystems can put out, which will allow
Yep.
for copying and such.
Yep. Yep. Happy to be there on Mondays.
Okay. So, you'll have we'll continue to work through it. I think it's been productive. People have been eye-opening. They say, okay, we don't have to invent everything. So
Yeah.
you're bringing in IRA, you're bringing in, and at some point, maybe we talk about how do we partner and how do COG becomes a member of IRA, and how do we advance? I think we need to
Yeah.
have a strategy on how we build it out. And rightfully so, if our working group or a task force has to do something, we need to know what we have to do.
Yep.
Thank you.
Ask a quick question. When you mentioned Etsy earlier, Scott, were you saying that was, if I don't want to misinterpret it, was that kind of like a reflexive community seeking out something as part of from a solution standpoint, not fully unaware of the trust registry protocol, or was it just
Yeah,
like
they're not.
the phishing?
So, the Etsy protocol, anything Etsy is 5 years baked in.
Mhm.
So when EIDAS 1 came out, and EIDAS 1 deals with digital signature, CAs, recognized, and each EU member state has an accreditation body with a certification body, and then they put out their own registries. And so they have to talk to each other just to find out, because if you're a CA in one of the member states, you could be accepted in all member states.
Nice.
So the extensibility of the fact that you are on a trust registry in Estonia means that you could operate and you'll be recognized, then some digital signature that chains up in Ireland would be
Or
recognized.
Spain. Yeah,
Yes,
gotcha. Yeah.
correct. And so they came up with a standard to create that extensibility. It, just like everything that I'm seeing out of the EU, is over engineered. What Daryl even commented me, man, I'm getting gray and dark. But I don't like the way it is because it's over engineered. It's
Yeah.
not elegant. It's over engineered.
Yeah.
And so when we looked at it at the C2PA, we said, this is over engineered. I don't know what we could pull out of it.
Well,
And
it's
so we
over
were trying to
engineered
pull
on
some things out.
it's over engineered on multiple fronts, particularly on governance. It assumes something like an EU.
Right.
And when you don't have that, you're kind of host. Like you're totally host. But
Right.
but
Yeah.
it is a great starting point for those who are in the EU and have questions on that are outside of the scope. So COG, for example, is not going to be concerned about how do I know you proved that you're national ID? Oh, that's a whole different ecosystem, and here's how they ran it, and here's how they maintain
Yeah.
it and stuff. But that's
Yeah.
not your problem to solve, type thing.
Yeah, just so you know, our problem in COG, and Eric kind of put it out there, is that we're pinning on the Mozilla Trust Registry for S-MIME and content signing signatures, which isn't the best. It's centralized, it's Mozilla. I know the guy from Mozilla, so I used to work with him for many years, but at the end of the day, that's not the way we want to go. Now, Eric has said, and maybe it takes, do we create our own cog, you know, trust, trust infrastructure? I'm hoping that IRA can solve that for me. I want IRA to solve it. So that's where you're going to have to come in. That's why I'm giving it to you. I want to move away from a Mozilla and replace it with IRA by the end of next year. And I don't know what that means.
How to get there. Tim's got his hand up.
Mr. Boma.
Yeah, I just want to tell you kind of where I'm at. Like, that I'm actually active in another community, kind of implementing similar things. So where I'm at right now is okay. So we have these artifacts. That's great. Um, I'm actually taking a very close look at the domain requirements to actually make sure we actually understand what we're doing. So I'm kind of keeping my options open. And the best way that I can provide feedback is that, like, I've taken a very close look at the Registry query protocol. There's tons of stuff I like. There's other stuff that may not be relevant for what I'm doing. And also, my understanding might have been shifted a little bit, so I might have a different perspective. So, um, I'm just being like brutally honest. I'm like tearing things down to first principles and trying to build things up. And whether it's right or wrong doesn't I don't really care. It's what the end users need. And I think the part that I don't have a handle on right now is I want to take a closer look at the creator assertions working group. I don't have a good handle on their requirements, like their domain requirements or business requirements, and I want to make sure I totally understand that. I don't want to be in a position where, I've written a standard, I've written lots of standards or whatever, but it comes with a particular view of the world, and we think that view of the world is the way that the communities will accept it. So I'm just being very keeping my options open. Like, for example, the European Union. Like, I'll be very frank. I think they're just going to, with what they're doing, is they're just going to crash into a wall of technological and bureaucratic complexity. I think, as Scott said, they've kind of over-engineered, they over-regulated. The approach that they're taking is
I disagree, Tim. I think they're
yeah,
going to fall into their own gravity well. But
yeah, that's fine. We can adjust the map accordingly. But the thing is, I'm really just being very honest and candid here. I'm just keeping all my options open and just trying to be as intellectually candid about this as possible, and just
Well,
kind of
if I can respond, first of all, you're not going to get all the answers in the cog. We're still trying to figure it out.
yeah, okay.
And maybe it would be a good idea. I don't know if you're a member of Diff. I don't think it's that hard to do to get, I think it's free. I'd like you to join that task force because we need good thinkers on how to solve the problem. And we're right, and we have the business users at the table with wanting to figure it out because they have major issues, and Will's one of them. He wants to get immutable record of their identifiers inside digital assets. We have the mechanisms to do that, and the question comes down to how do you regulate who gets to do that, right? We
Yeah,
don't have that, and that's the big issue associated. We could figure out how to get it in, and that's not that hard. But how do you manage it? Because as Daryl says, it takes a village to manage who gets to do that. Now they have to translate whatever they're doing to manage the issuance of these metadata tags. They have to translate it into a governance framework and a trust registry. And we
yeah.
need to help them get there, or it's not going to happen.
Yeah, like the way where I feel like I'm at is that I'm pretty confident on all the technological mechanisms, what they are. I'm not 100% sure, even with myself, that we've assembled it in a right way for solutions to meet needs, and that's the part that I'm actively looking at. So, uh, Yeah, and also the other thing too, which you touched on, is what I'm pretty adamant about is that I'm very super sensitive to having centralized or asymmetrically advantaged authorities kind of insert themselves in to say, hey, we'll be the trust registry, we'll set the rules and that we're fine, we're great, we're wonderful, we'll be part of your community. And then a few years down the road, they say, well, we want to do it our way and that. So I'm pretty adamant about making sure that a community can define what they need, irrespective of the technological infrastructure. And so just trying to really suss out what I would consider kind of the hidden dependencies or the hidden things that might not be apparent, and just because that's the stuff that really bites you in the butt. Like maybe not next year, but maybe 5 years down the line. And you're seeing that with like certificate authorities. It's like you got you know anybody you can have a rogue certificate authority out there, and the only way you can actually police it is by like kicking them out of root programs or whatever, and like relying on the evidence and the attestation that they have, and that's okay. That works fine. But now we're starting to see all those systems kind of break down. So I'm kind of maybe oversensitive, but really sensitive to those kind of lock-ins, and really just taking my time to make sure I understand that. That's it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I wasn't on mute, was I?
No,
No,
we heard you.
Sorry,
you're
Tim,
running
were you
away.
talking?
I mean, I have a comment to all of that, and I do believe there's, so because at the CCPA, it is their trust registry is centrally managed. I'm managing it, centrally managed right here. And there's a reason for that. It's kind of like the USB thing. We can't have a million different ways to create a manifest. It has to be a structured way that allows interoperability. It's the USB thing. Everybody needs to agree to a standard, but what's in the data and how it's formed, then that becomes, distributed. And
So,
we're seeing that. We're seeing all of that. And I do believe that there's going to be in the future a combination of centralized control, depending on what the need, decentralized control, as well as you're going to see, ownership of individual groups like IRA is doing. So I agreed with the principles of IRA what was it, 1 or 2 years ago. It was a little, I think, advanced before its time, but I see the vision, and we need to now, we need to close on it.
Yeah,
Need to
like
close.
yeah.
and I can add like totally fine. What I'm sensitive to now is geopolitically, like, there's threats of decertification. Like if you have a registry that's outside of your control and they decide they're going to shut you down, you can do that. So may look misplaced, but I'm very, very sensitive to that stuff now, and really
Right.
trying to nail, and doesn't mean you have to like change anything or whatever. Just like, so for example, like with the C2PA, whatever, if you have a governing body and that's the governing body that everybody believes in, that's fine. But what happens if you have a community that says, well, we want to operate outside of that? What do you do about them? So I just,
That's
Yes.
one of the things I love about this is that's another trust registry, and you decide which one or ones you want to adhere to,
yeah. So if those are
right?
principles, that's perfectly fine. And I just want to make sure that there's
Yeah.
like real clarity on that stuff rather than like the trust me, bro, trust models that seem to be emerging.
Right.
Oh,
The
there's a
other
lot. There's a
thing
lot of
that
those.
the other thing that I'm finding, I'm right at the source because I came in through X509, and 10 years ago I was helping to get the thoughts around governance of alternative verifier decentralized mechanisms. After all these years, X509 is not going away. They're not. I want to minimize the CA browser forum. I was under their management. Okay. I was their arbiter. I just think that that's, it's not the objective kind of ruler. They're all browsers. All right. They're very focused. Okay. They're not looking for public trust. They're looking for their own means. And that was the problem with that. That's why I've tried to reduce that in the C2PA. And believe me, I've been very successful. I'm in a position where they've agreed to that, but at the end of the day, we've spent a lot of time in this community within trust over IP waiting for CAs to wither and die and be replaced by verifiable credentials. That's not happening. It's not happening. We do see the emergence of, and we will see new verifiable credentials, and we will see see a lot of it. I do believe that there will be hybrid for at least probably until I die.
Yeah, and to your point, Scott, on what you're driving, my attendance at COG for, I believe, is the following. One of the reasons that the CA approach works is there's an approach. It may not be perfect, but there's a recipe. I can cook the damn meal. I don't have to invent something, right? That's daunting. Not everyone's a chef. We all know how to cook, some better than others. But yeah, and that's part of what we're working on is, and that's where we're at the point of, I believe that it's great. Who are the interested parties who have the information, the systems of record, who want to expose it, who want to build a recipe? Great. You have an individual centric group. You have a whole bunch of those. You have information about organizations who are involved. You have information in your industry in COG C2PA on devices, on software, on the assets that are created. Those are all very different, right? And the CA approach gives you the simplest thing it can sign. It doesn't tell you anything more. Yeah.
Right. And it is creating, facility.
Yeah.
And we needed it 5 years ago, and now it's desperate. Now you
Yeah.
have COG members that are coming in with constituents that are getting
Yep.
harmed because they don't have signing capability, and we
Yep.
need to.
Yep. And this also just the signing capability. I note you're not saying issue verifiable credential capability, right? It's a signing capability. This
That's
is
it.
what one of the reasons we did the first version of TRQP was credential centric, but it didn't handle, can this artist sign this contract? Are they, which
Uh,
answers questions. Are they
but we are creating a verifiable credential. That's what the content credential is.
cool? But the business problem, you end up in another business problem, which is how do I know your identifier you're using to sign with, your key you're signing with, because that's not in the credential. Credentials do not sign things. They may point to what I'm using to sign things, and that's a method. But it's a business problem. I need to sign this thing. I need to prove it was me, and I need to sign it. Underneath,
Well,
details.
we could disrupt that. We're gonna, I'll hold that off, and
Cool.
my goal in the industry is to disrupt that. So, to separate the signing capability with the identifier, so that you could say I'm tying a bunch of things to me when I sign something. And that's going to be absolutely, I agree, it's absolutely critical to add that. So we'll just hold that for another day.
Cool.
So
So the Daryl, the latest version is up on GitHub. I just want to go
Yep.
through it again. So anyway,
Yeah. So actually, you just hold off until the weekend.
okay,
Because it's been published for we haven't published a new version other than last week we said, but yeah, there is a new version. But you're gonna see if you're gonna do any homework on it, you're gonna see a fair bit of new content added in to meet the steering committee requirements.
okay,
That's
super.
worth waiting on, I would say.
Okay, great. No, looking forward to it.
And there is a ticket in the system that Sankarshan pushed in that is really worth looking at. I'm responding to it. Say, hey, great, that's a mega ticket. You need to break it up into a bunch of tickets. But he's got some really good thinking on where would potentially the TRQP, I haven't found anything it needs to change, but what's the next set of work that may need to be done? And is that specs, is that guidance, is that whatever? But he's got to, as Sankarshan is wont to do, he has created some really, really good thinking and captured it really, really well.
I read his last piece on his Substack, or it was really good.
Oh, it was funny. I was just talking to Sankarshan. He and Tim play off each other. They trigger each other. They trigger they trigger action.
I've
It's
I've
got,
only met him via Substack articles. I haven't like really interacted with him.
oh, he's, I'm trying to convince him to become a co-chair of this task force. So,
Nice.
and anybody else who wants to help on that. So, anything else we want to cover off today, folks?
I'm good.
Good. I'm interested to know if anyone starts work on the best practices trust registries, and I maybe can contribute because I want to learn more about it as well.
Cool. All right. Well, if there's nothing else, folks, we can give you guys back some time in your day, and hopefully it warms up for those who are in the cold.
Well, it's t-shirt weather here.
It's,
Yeah. T-shirt at -7 Celsius is a blood thing that Tim I no longer have. I cured myself of that blood disorder.
When you watch
Well,
the
then
students in
Tim,
their winter shorts.
Yeah. Yeah.
and Tim
Well,
would
summer
burn
shorts,
up
winter
if
shorts.
he visited me down in Arizona. So
Yeah.
there you go.
Yeah. Exactly.
Daryl, if you want, did you want to talk? Did you want to
Sure.
just stay on the phone
Sure.
Okay, I'm gonna
and
leave.
because you said you
See you
wanted
Okay,
later.
to,
bye.
Bye, all.
if we can cut the tape and give me
Sure.
2 minutes for a bio break, I'll be right back. Okay.
Cool.
All right. So is this we're not video,
Oh,
we're
let me
not
make sure we're not recording anymore.
stop that.
Actually, let me send you I'll send you an invite to a Zoom room.
Okay, sounds good.